Hello everyone, this is Spartan. This is my sister, my amazing sister who is awesome. We are currently headed to go and see the first showing of Captain Marvel at the Regal Cinema Riverstone in Coeur d'Alene. So we're on our way in there. We're on our way in there now, and we're gonna get back to you as soon as we're done watching it. So let's go watch that.
It's okay. We're fine.
Okay, good. Hello, this is Spartan, and this is my amazing sister.
Hi.
You saw us a little bit earlier when we were walking to go and see Captain Marvel. And now we are doing our little review of it. So, start off. We'll do our non-spoiler bit first, and then we'll go and we'll talk about specific stuff. So, first, overall thoughts.
I liked it. It was fun. She's not my favorite of the superheroes. I think Thor Ragnarok was funnier, but I liked that it was funny. It's funny.
It did have a lot of big humor moments to it. I did like that. We have people over there, background, the parents. But I will agree, it was a fun movie, but some of the motifs and some of the things they did could have been a little more.
I liked it.
You liked it? Okay.
I did.
It was very good. A lot of Easter eggs. The big thing, the biggest Easter egg that made me really, really happy was the very, very first thing that we saw when the Marvel logo was panning across.
Oh yeah,
That
there's a
made
lot
me-
of really awesome tributes to Stan Lee in
There's
this movie.
so many tributes to Stan
It
Lee.
was very sad.
Made me cry as soon as the Marvel
Yeah.
logo was going across the screen. Because for those of you that haven't seen a Marvel movie in a long time, they do this cool like flipping and panning of the various MCU characters as they bring up the Marvel Studios logo. This time they substituted all of the Marvel characters out for various pictures of Stan Lee from his cameos over the years, including I saw his cameo, his image of a cameo from actually his appearance in Rise of the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four movie. So it wasn't exclusive to the MCU films.
Which was nice.
This is really, really cool. And then they did have a cameo in there, a little kind of CGI Uncanny Valley thing, but they threw his voice in there, so it was very nice. And he, unless I'm mistaken, I think he said the "Listen here, true believers." Something he said at Comic-Con a while back. That was when he first did Excelsior. I don't know if it was the first time, but it was one of the more famous times. It made me feel so happy. I was like, yay! All right. Do I have anything on here I can really talk about that's not really spoilery?
I don't think so. I think everything that we want to talk about is
Yeah.
spoilery.
Yeah,
Everything is spoilery.
pretty much all the stuff.
They were.
All right.
It seemed like a movie that they gave you all of the plots, but they didn't. They actually kept a lot of it back, which
It
is
did-
very impressive.
It did
I was
feel
proud.
also kind of like a standard origin story film, and a lot of the,
Which is fine.
which is fine. They did try to do some new stuff, and they poked fun at a lot of common tropes in not just superhero movies, but origin story and just
Yeah.
movies in general. Mainly with the final battle.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I also thought it was interesting. A lot of people have been saying that Brie Larson couldn't act. I thought she was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Captain Marvel was just a character with a very dry sense of humor,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't always come across well. But I thought she was exactly what she was supposed to be.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. What do you think of
Yeah, it's
digitally
hilarious.
de-aged Samuel Jackson's Fury?
I thought that worked out really well.
I thought it
He
worked.
didn't even look fake.
Yeah, I thought he looked very, very convincing, as well as digitally de-aged Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson. So, woohoo!
Always good to see Coulson.
My dad over here, he loves Agent Coulson. He
Everyone
loves Agents
loves
of
Agent
Shield.
Coulson. That's just the thing.
Best character.
That's how you know you're human. If you like Agent Coulson. That's just-
What did you think of the acting we had from Jude Law and Ben Mendelsohn
Loved them.
as our kind of spoilers as our antagonists?
Yeah, spoilers. I thought they were great. I
Cool.
liked the dynamic between bad guy and not bad guy. See, look at me not giving spoilers.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into actual spoilers. So, spoiler warning. Okay, now we can go
You've
ahead.
been warned.
All right. So the spoiler warning is up. It's
First
flashed
of
on the
all-
screen. Klaxon is flashed.
Okay.
What's the first thing you want to go?
The fact that the cat was a Skrull, I was so
Cat
excited.
wasn't a Skrull.
Not a Skrull.
Flurgan.
Flurgan, whatever. The little things.
Pocket Dimension Cat.
A Pocket Dimension Cat. I loved it. I've seen that actually as a theory on New Rockstars and as this on the Super Carlin Brothers, and I was very excited that was right. And then when he swallowed the Tesseract, I was like, "Yep."
Oh, then he swallowed a bunch of Skrull soldiers. Kree soldiers, not Skrull soldiers. Yeah, he swallowed the Krees.
Yeah, but I was very excited about that. And I like to imagine that there could be a TV show of Nick Fury and Goose the Flurgan cat.
Like a buddy cop.
Like a buddy cop show.
Nick Fury and a cat.
Nick Fury and his cat friend.
Well, so
Coulson like dancing around. As soon as they said that the last time I trust someone, I lost an eye, and then he said to the cat, "I'm trusting you," I was like, "Oh no!"
He's gonna lose his eye to a cat.
The cat. It's gonna be the cat, which I thought was.
I
hilarious.
felt it undermined some of the badassness that was the character of Nick Fury, that he lost his eye to a cat. But then they kind of made it this like mythical story at the very, very end because Coulson is like, "Is it true you lost your eye to a Kree soldier when you wouldn't give up the Tesseract?" And he was like, "I can neither confirm nor deny how I lost my eye." And so they're leading it to this whole, like, again, kind of a very meta joke about superheroes.
And as the movie was going on, they kept like teasing, like he kept getting punched in that eye. So I
Yeah.
felt like the cat scratching his eye was just the last straw in a very long string of poor Nick Fury's eye.
Well, there was a shot in the trailer that a lot of people were thinking was when he lost his eye. It was right at the autopsy of the first of the Skrull warrior they found.
Yeah.
Where he was holding an ice pack to his eye, and everyone's like, "Oh, this must be right when he lost his eye." But no, he lost his eye right at the very end of the film.
I feel like it was just hanging on by a thread, and the cat's just like, "Let's just do a clean cut here." Which is...
Well, and I don't know. I need to rewatch Winter Soldier because Winter Soldier is my favorite film. Is it yours as well?
I actually really like Captain America: The First Avenger the best.
I really do like the first one. Oh, the Captain America movies are my favorite. But I need to rewatch Civil War because Civil War is the only one where we got a real good. Not Civil War. Winter Soldier is the only one where we got a real good look at Nick Fury's eye, and I want to see whether or not those three cat scratches are still there.
I feel like that's consistent.
I want to check though because I'm not sure.
Which is very clever too. It's clever filmmaking.
So we talked about that. One thing I was I was kind of like, on this thing, what they did with the Skrulls towards the very, very end. So, again, spoilers. Spoiler warning's gone up, so if you're watching this video, you don't care. But towards the very end of the film, Ben Mendelsohn's Talos character, turns out he wasn't actually a bad guy, and the Skrulls weren't actually the villains. And it was a very odd...
No, because
his group of Skrulls were not villains.
They said, we're not all bad. We've all got blood on our hands, but we are just a nice little group of Skrulls with our little Skrull children who want a home. And we don't have to fight because we want to raise our children to be peaceful little Skrulls.
But I think it's a little odd because they seemed like they were teeing up Captain Marvel as teeing the Skrulls for Secret Invasion later in the MCU as possibly like the big bads of Phase 4, which is a little kind of... Personally, I very much like if they do Galactus as big bad for Phase 4 or Dormammu.
They can't do the Skrull.
Well, no, as you said, they could still do the Skrulls because they just said Talos was not the big bad.
The other Skrull.
But I mean, also that is 30 years ago. That movie took place like 30 years prior. So maybe Talos, maybe his family died and he becomes evil. I really don't like that though.
I don't like that either.
Or maybe his daughter becomes a villain. Dun dun dun.
I don't believe that because she saw what niceness was.
Yes, but. No, I think it was not a surprise at all that the Kree were bad.
Shocked.
Big shockers. They're kind of bad people in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., bad people in Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't really see them as a government in Guardians of the Galaxy, but we know they're there, and we know they were jerks.
And they sickly paces Ronin on people.
Yes.
So,
well, they didn't... In this one they did, but in Guardians of the Galaxy... He was just extremist. Yeah.
Still.
I was expecting to see more of Ronan. I thought they were going to do a more origin kind of story for him to see how he got to his point, but no. Also, it was interesting seeing Korvath is the guy that was his henchman in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he was part of Star Force in this episode. In this movie.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping we were going to see how he became that, because in Guardians of the Galaxy he has all this mechanized parts of his body. So I was kind of wondering if we were going to see that. We didn't, so maybe that'll be Captain Marvel 2. Maybe Captain Marvel 2 will be a period piece as well.
Yeah.
Is it period pieces fits in the 90s?
Yes, well, period piece. That's, yeah. Well, because they set it up where she goes off. She's like, "I'll be back, Earth," but she has to go and find
And
the
the
Skrulls
war.
in a nice house, and then also take down the Kree Empire. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that all of that happens in Captain Marvel 2, which is probably, or like some sort of special video where it's like, this is what Captain Marvel's been doing.
One of the one-shots that they
One
do
of the
sometimes.
one-shots, yeah, like the Peggy Carter movie.
Yeah. Well, we know she doesn't take down the Kree Empire because we see the Kree Empire in Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. But it's no longer the collective consciousness, and like the leader is actually like this male Kree dude.
Interesting.
So maybe she takes down the consciousness, and it becomes
Jude Law.
Not Jude Law. It wasn't Jude Law.
Oh.
But it becomes an actual more like government, and that's how they're able to make peace with Xandar. We didn't see any reference to Xandar that I picked up on, which I was very surprised about that we didn't get. So that was a little like, because they're supposedly been fighting them for millennia. So kind of.
It's just one of the many fights the Kree are involved in this movie.
Yes.
Let's just
bombed a planet a couple times.
People. Yeah.
Yes. Talked about that. Goose. We already talked about Goose a little bit.
Goose, he was my
Flurman.
favorite.
Flurman or Flurman?
Flurgan.
Flurmagerd.
Mr. Cat with pocket dimensions. My other favorite thing is that that's going to come in. It's going to be important, like in Endgame, because the cat can hold stuff in his face.
Ooh.
So.
This was a thing I wrote down. I completely forgot about. When Ronan came and he came to Earth and they were gonna bomb it and stuff, and then Captain Marvel came and had the big, amazing take down all their ships moment. He said, "We will leave, but we'll be back." And then this guy was like, "For the engine?" He was like, "For the woman." So I'm wondering whether or not we'll get to see that in Captain Marvel 2 as well,
Probably.
because Ronan was a villain that they could have done so much with in Guardians of the Galaxy, but then they killed him off at the end. So I wonder if they're kind of using this and they're setting him up to be the villain of 2, because Lee Pace as Ronan is such an amazing choice. It worked so well.
It'd be good to give him that backstory and development and give her a character. Yeah.
And maybe determine how he splits off. So that would be cool. That's something I wrote down that I completely forgot about.
Also, as the sister of an airman, all of the Air Force things.
All the Air Force references. I was sitting there just like, yeah! Air power! Aim high, fly, fight, win.
The whole movie.
Movie. Absolutely the whole movie. And every once in a while...
But it was that the Air Force was involved, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of like Stargate SG-1 levels of military involvement, which nice.
Was so much fun. But I think you got a little annoyed with me sitting in the theaters, and I'm like, they don't actually do that. We don't act that way. Stuff like that. I think you might have gotten a little annoyed by that.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge?
You kept saying, best branch of the service. We know.
Well, I mean, you do the same thing when you go see, like, historical movies.
It's true.
I don't know what that was.
Mom's cell phone.
Alright. I got a couple more things I want to talk about, then we're going to talk about that end credit scene. The last thing... 2 other things I really want to talk about. That final action scene where she was fighting the rest of Star Force.
Yeah.
It was simultaneously amazingly fun action, but it had almost a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of feel to it because they had that song playing over it that was just like dun 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 bomb.
I think the end credits are the last fight in Thor Ragnarok. It's kind of that same.
Yeah, where they had immigrant song coming in and Thor whooping butt.
Exactly.
That same kind of level of fun.
It was nice. I appreciated that.
Yeah, I think we're hitting a point in the MCU where films are going to kind of take a tonal shift in that direction, where there's going to be a fun and high horse a little bit, and we all know why that is. It's because of Guardians of the Galaxy. Rehire James Gunn. I don't care what he did. He said a thing. Calm down. He didn't actually do a thing. He said a thing like 10 years ago.
Right.
In a tweet, like 10 years ago, or like 15 years ago. And Disney fired him over it.
That's right, I did know that. That's okay.
It's
now he's over in the DCEU.
Now he's over in the DCEU and he's making Suicide Squad. Maybe James Gunn is what the DC universe needs to actually make good movies.
Hey,
come on,
Wonder Woman and Aquaman
come on, Shazam.
Please, Shazam. Please be good.
Alright. Last thing I want to talk about before we talk about the end credit scene is the arrival of the magical MacGuffin of this movie. That object. The Tesseract.
Oh, right.
AKA the Space Stone. So, that means that her powers come from the Space Stone. So I wonder if that means, because a lot of people are saying Captain Marvel is going to be the most powerful being in the universe, even against Thanos, who has the power of all 6 Infinity Stones.
But she's only powerful one stone.
But if her power comes from the Space Stone, is that going to kind of be negated? I mean, we didn't see any special... We know the Scarlet Witch, her power came from the Mind Stone, combination with some biological components. Mm-hmm. And she was able to be pretty effective against Thanos in Infinity War.
So basically what we need to team up Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch when we get Scarlet Witch back somehow magically.
The heroes with glowing eyes are the most powerful.
Weird how that works. It's strange.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get Vision back somehow. No, because we need the other stone for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, too soon.
Yeah, so her powers come from the Space Stone, which I think is pretty interesting, because who else's power comes from the Space Stone? There's someone else. Maybe it's just because I feel like Captain America is related to the Space Stone in so many ways.
Yeah. I mean, Loki used the Space Stone, but that's not like the base of his powers.
Yeah. I want to know how she got it. I want to know how Marvel got it.
She fished it up out of the sea.
No, because Howard Stark did that.
Howard Stark had it. Oh, because she was working on a top secret government project.
That's probably how.
And
that's
like,
how.
Hey, Howard Stark, can I play with this? I know it's like tried to blow up your lab several times. May I try it?
Okay.
He's like, please take it out of here.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm afraid my son's gonna start nosing around and find a glowing cube.
Imagine how much more advanced we'd be as a society if Tony Stark had the
Tony
Tesseract.
Stark found the Tesseract as a small child.
Either that or we'd all be dead.
One of the two things, yeah.
Yeah. I also, actually, last thing I want to talk about before we talk about that end credit scene and the implications of that end credit scene. We had the fun little final battle between Captain Marvel and Jan Rog, as played by Jude Law, where the music is swelling. He has his pistol drawn and his like gauntlet ready to go, and he's like puts it on the music stop, and he's like, I am so proud of you. And then he's like, you could never beat me without your power. We knew you had to get to this point. Prove to me you can do it. And she just blasts him in the chest. It's like, I don't need to prove anything to you.
But I really like their dynamic. I did
like their dynamic.
I thought that it was nice because normally it would seem like captive, like he's taking advantage of her and not being caring. But you got the sense that he was really like, this is my little brainwashed space daughter.
I did kind of feel like that. I felt like he wasn't
faking his
affections.
His affections for her.
Well, like,
it didn't come across as creepy, but it was like he still wanted her to be safe. Like the
more like an uncle. I don't want to say uncle. I don't want to say uncle niece because that has creepy implications.
No,
sometimes.
I was thinking father-daughter. Like he's like, I don't have a daughter and I've adopted you.
Yeah, even though you've been brainwashed.
But like you were brainwashed and I've.
Well, because like even when like she was blasting him back off to Kree, he was like, please don't do this.
It's bad things are gonna happen.
Yeah, so I still feel like the relationship there was pretty solid. Now, let's talk about that end credit scene. I lost my mind.
You really did.
I really lost my mind. Well, I lost my mind as the end credit scene was happening, and then like 10 seconds later, I lost my mind because of the end credit scene, but for another reason. For implications for Endgame. So, in the end credit scene, we saw Hulk, War Machine, Black Widow, and Captain America with beard. That's going to be important. With his beard, looking at the pager that Nick Fury used to call Captain Marvel in the credit... Was it the credit scene? At the credit scene of Infinity War. And then it died and power was lost, and they were like, we don't know. And then Black Widow turns around and Captain Marvel is standing there. And she's like, where's Fury? And it was like, a couple different things I noticed. Captain Marvel's costume is a little bit different. It's got some more gold, mainly on the shoulders. Her hair is a lot longer. It also seemed a little blonder.
Like 30 years in space.
That's been 30 years.
Close to the sun. A sun, not the sun. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Praise the sun. The reason people are thinking that she didn't age is because the collectiveness was telling her because of the power that she absorbed. It's going to make her age slower. Maybe she'll marry Captain America and they'll have like immortal babies.
Oh, Steve needs a happy ending.
He does need a happy ending. She can become Cap and he can be like Mrs. Cap.
That would be adorable. If any superhero was going to do that, it would be Captain America. He's like, I'm Mrs. Captain.
Yes. But then, the other reason that end credit scene freaked me out...
Actually, they work really well together because they're both they both have military background. They both have a very similar sense of right and wrong, similar senses of humor. Oh my gosh, I
Please.
ship it.
What
ship
about Sharon Carter?
I never really.
Does that one strike you as a little weird?
It's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
It's a
Because
little
like he
weird.
could be your father, kind of thing, or uncle.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't
Okay.
care for that.
I do kind of ship. I do kind of ship.
Right?
The cap.
The cap.
The cap ship.
Cap ship. Okay. Hashtag cap.
It'd be the Captain America.
Captain America.
No, Captain America, because America, like Captain America.
Chris Evans. Start tweeting that.
Please.
Please. Unless Captain America dies in Endgame.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to. It's gonna.
That's another story.
That's a whole
other debate,
discussion. But the thing on that end credit scene, Endgame, based on everything we've seen, Endgame is gonna pick up with Captain America having already shaved his beard. But Captain Marvel appeared in that end credit scene. He still had his beard. So does that mean she's gonna actually be there at the beginning of Endgame, and she's not gonna show up, and it's gonna be like, ah!
Or they're just gonna replay that cutscene at the very like that's the opening of Endgame.
I could see that.
And then he's gonna be like, well,
there's an attractive woman. I shave my beard.
Shave my beard. Interesting. Or like, well, we actually have a chance now. We have someone who's super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get this cleaned up, which explains the empty gap too in all the marching scenes that they've done, or like the scenes where they have the Avengers walking.
Mm-hmm.
They would
CGing people out
out, and that makes sense that they'd CG Captain Marvel out.
Yeah, and also CG out Professor Hulk is a big thing that people are thinking is going to happen. Yeah. The merging of Banner and Hulk's personalities into one being.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, half the shots in the Endgame trailer probably won't even be in the movie. I mean, based on Infinity War. But that is actually all. That's all I have. That's all I have note-wise. Do you have anything? Anything else you want to add?
Like I said, I liked it. I thought that it was a really solid film. I liked the fact that we had a female superhero. I think it took way too long.
It did take.
But now we have one, so thank you for that. I like how Kevin Feige's putting it together, and it's starting to kind of like set up that, like Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of like, welcome to the galaxy. And Captain Marvel's like, no, we're definitely part of the galaxy. Kind of like it's that logical next step. So it seems like the next phase is going to be a lot more like
space-bound,
spacey, yeah. Which I'm excited to see. I'm also curious, like if they're going to bring in Adam Warlock. Is it Adam Warlock?
Adam Warlock, because they teased him. They teased him at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
And then I'm intrigued to see where it goes next. Because I was expecting it to be Secret Invasion, which it's clearly not now.
Yeah.
It would be weird if it was.
Because they spent all this time setting up the Skrulls as being kind of good guys.
It could be,
as being like only
it could be like,
disenfranchised.
that would be a problem for Captain Marvel. Like, what do you mean they're evil Skrull? And then she'd have to like be like, they're evil Skrull and they're a good Kree. Like that kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
I mean,
but it would be a weird choice to go right into Secret Invasion after.
Yeah, like maybe they could do that Phase 5.
That would be like a Phase 5 thing.
That'd be a Phase 5.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with they're going to be traveling more to space, because I think we've talked about Thor possibly joining Guardians of the Galaxy this next round. Maybe that was another person I was talking about.
It wasn't
because of the dynamic that he was having with Rocket and the Guardians, and because Marvel did confirm they're going to use James Gunn's script for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and before he was let go from Marvel's service, he did say that Volume 3 was going to see some big roster changes to the Guardians, so maybe that's something that we'll have to look forward to. Thor flying around space.
It's also supposed to be very heavily Gamora-based, which is interesting.
I don't know if
I heard that somewhere.
I feel like maybe she'll come back and then she'll die. I feel like Gamora is one of the ones we might be losing. I feel like the ones that are safe are probably Rocket and maybe Drax. Maybe Mantis.
Peter Quill is safe?
I don't think he's safe. But he might also be safe because he's the human link to the team.
Right.
But then if they throw Thor in there, they'll be like, he's Thor, he looks human enough.
Let's trade a Chris for a Chris.
Here, we'll give you this Chris, we take this Chris. It'd be nice if he goes and sees his grandpa, though.
Yeah, that's true. Tangential thought. They really... this was kind of funny. Chris Pine was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Was he?
He was, which means... I don't remember. I didn't I don't know, but that means that Marvel has successfully collected all 4 Chris's.
Go Marvel. So, all in all, what do you think you'd give this movie as a ranking?
Probably an 8. Solid 8.
8?
Yeah.
I honestly think I might even bounce that out. I'd say 8.5.
Oh.
Give it an 8.5 out of 10. Sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good
Yeah,
to me.
there were definitely some things I'm like, wow. There were moments where it was like, wow, this movie's kind of dragging a little bit. But for the most part, I thought it was paced well. I thought the music was excellent. Characters were fun. I liked how they had a mix. Like a lot of superhero movies, there's a lot of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that there were some strong lady characters, which is always nice.
And a lot of Miss Marvel references.
A lot of Miss Marvel references, which was cool. And I liked, too, that it wasn't like, we have lady superheroes, so no men can be strong. They're like, no. We have strong ladies, and we have strong men working together. It's like, hey! Look, it can work.
Mm-hmm. I did... Actually,
Pay attention to James
I still agree with the 8.5, but one thing I'm going to throw in there real quick. It did feel, now that I'm like really making the Tesseract and the MacGuffin feels kind of cheap. I feel that. Like, oh, it's the Tesseract again.
I was surprised.
I was actually very surprised by seeing the Tesseract. I was like, hey, I know what that is. But that might be a thing for people who aren't really keeping up with the MCU and who are just like going and seeing this movie because, oh, female superhero. Just go see the movie and be like, oh, they're...
Although it kind of
like, why did the music swell when this blue cube came on screen?
Although it kind of made sense though, because like Howard Stark has it and he's working on it, and then how did Nick Fury get it? And it makes sense that it's part of a secret government project that Howard Stark is sort of involved with. Because Pegasus, I think he was sort of involved with a little bit at some point in time.
Pegasus was name dropped in the first Avengers movie.
Yeah. So he's kind of got that, and then he gives it to Marvel, and then Captain Marvel gets it and gives it to Fury. And I thought that was a nice like. Okay,
nice
because we never have like a good idea of how the Tesseract gets places. Like we assume Howard Stark gives it to Shield, but like
because he was one of the founders of Shield.
Because he's one of the founders of Shield, but this makes more sense. It's like it's a nice like.
Well, I mean, it made a lot of sense with him giving it to Shield anyway because he was one of the founders of Shield. But this is it makes sense because now it's not just having sat in a box for 70 years.
Exactly. Which it doesn't make sense if you have this magic glowing box. Why would you?
Mm-hmm.
If it blew up your lab, you're not going to put it in a box. You're going to be trying to figure out how you can make it not explode things.
Mm-hmm. So. Cool. It was nice also getting to see the early version of the Quinjet.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. That's going to be it for this video. If you guys like this, please leave a like and a comment down below. Also,
make sure you subscribe.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
And we will...
Sister.
So you know the Spartan Haru?
No.
So we're going to send this. All right. So, follow my lead, sibling.
Okay, got it.
So,
I'm on it.
That'll be it for this video, and I will see all of you in the next video. Stay Spartan strong. Aru! Aru! Aru!